Annabelle and I'm going to make some side tables for my new sofa.
I'll admit the new sofa is not a looker, but Puppy likes her. And she can do this. So it's an electric recliner and the buttons are on the side, but my current side table, which is actually just a stool from IKEA, is too tall and it covers the buttons. So let's fix that. I'm going to cut the tabletops out of this spruce furniture board. I'm making 2 tables, one for either side of the sofa. They're going to be slightly different sizes because there's a little less space on the other side of the sofa, but they're basically going to look the same. So that's the tabletops cut. Now we're going to move on to making the apron and the legs. If you don't know what an apron is, it's this part of the table that connects the legs to the tabletop. Accuracy really isn't my strong point, so I've rough cut the legs and now I'm going to tape them all together and then cut them one more time so they're exactly the same. Is not my strong point. So I don't have all of my dimensions figured out. I need to figure out the dimensions of the apron, so I'm going to do that now. I think I want the apron to sit this width away from the tabletop, so I'm just going to draw lines around the wood like that. And I'm going to use this offcut from the legs to mark where the legs would go. So now I can just measure the distance between this leg, and that's the length of my apron. I'm just setting my pocket hole jig to the thickness of my wood, which is 18mm. For you Imperial folks, I guess that's, hang on, let me check. 18mm, 2 inches. 11/16 of an inch. God, inches are wild. Let's do these pocket holes. I have a problem. I just tried to attach one of my pocket holes and actually split the wood. I think that my pocket holes are a little bit too close to the edge, so when they're coming into this piece they're going in a little bit too close to the edge and just splitting it. But I've already put pocket holes in all the pieces, so I need to rethink this for a second. And maybe if I raise the apron slightly so it hits the middle. I'll try it on the leg that I've already ruined. Okay, that worked. There's no split, so I guess I'll do it like that. I think I could just use this leg still. I could just put that at the back. Yeah, let's do that. That's my apron, those are my legs. There's the pocket hole screws, they're in the back so you won't see them. Ta-da! Now the basics have been built, I wanted to put the table in the space just so I could get a feel for it before carrying on. And now I can't help but thinking that how short it is going to annoy me. So maybe I could add a second tier on top, but just like a half tabletop. So I still have the shorter one, I can reach the buttons, and then a second half tabletop a little bit higher for me to like put my cup of tea on. What do we think? So I was pretty set on this slat idea, so much so I cut all the slats. But after playing around with it, hear me out. I quite like the simplicity of how that looks. Keeping this fairly open, I'll probably do something here, but I like that. Also, I don't know if I'm taking it too far, but what if this was on a hinge so you could open it to access things underneath? I don't have any hinges, so I'd have to go get some. Decisions. I bought hinges. Let's go. At this point I'm going to stain everything before we do the final assembly. We're going to leave the hinges till last. I don't know how to do them, we'll figure it out. I'm going to stain everything in Littlefairs Golden Oak. So whilst the stain is drying, there's two things I want to figure out. I want to figure out some cable management for my chargers, and I want to figure out like a little ledge or a shelf or something for my iPad to sit on at the back of the table. So let's figure that out. So for the iPad holder, I've just like routed out a groove in this wood, and then it's not enough for like the iPad to sit in fully, but it's just like enough for it to hook into place and not fall out. So yeah, I think that'll work. The assembly is in two parts. The first part is attaching the main tabletop to the legs and aprons. I'm going to be using figure-8 fasteners for that. I've never used them before. And then the second part is attaching the second tabletop to the first tabletop using a hinge. I've never installed a hinge before either. That's actually the part that I'm most nervous about. I don't know which one to do first. I don't know if it matters which one I do first. Maybe we'll go for the hinge first, because that's the one that scares me the most. The reason that I'm scared about the hinges is because I've never done them before. I need to chisel out a space for it to sit in flush, but my chisels aren't very sharp because I mostly just use them to scrape glue off. And also this is going into end grain, and I couldn't find any videos about installing a hinge in end grain, so I assume it's a bad idea. But that's where we're at, so we're going to give it a try. Sorry, this must be so painful to watch. I feel like a master chiseler. I don't know, I just don't think this is for me. Just look. Maybe I can like route out the space instead? Do you think I could just freehand it? That seems risky. Let's do this. I mean, that worked. It might not be the prettiest, but it'll be fine once I clean it up. And then we just restain these bits to disguise how bad it is. The next challenge is, how do I figure out where to drill the holes for this one? I'm a clever person, I can figure this out. Ah, what if I put double-sided sticky tape on it, place the tabletop where it needs to go, flip it, mark it? Maybe, let's try. I don't know if this is going to work. The screws are having to go in so close to the edge. That's not going to hold. I originally wanted this to sit flush with the back, but because of that issue, I think it's going to have to sit over a little bit like this, just so I can get the screws like further in rather than right on the edge. I think it still looks okay. Let's just do it. I know this is probably the completely wrong way to install a hinge, but I'm just making it work, okay? I'll learn how to do it properly next time. I didn't consider that I actually need to route out this section as well, so that these can sit in there otherwise it sits like this. So let's do that. Let's try that again. Oh God. It's still got a gap. It's better. Let me show you. See, it's still not sitting completely flat. I've got some good news and some bad news. The good news is one of the tabletop hinges is done. Woohoo! The bad news is I completely botched the other tabletop because these aren't supposed to be here. I'm not really interested in making it again, so I'm gonna have to figure something out. So I've wood filled the areas that I wasn't supposed to route out. I don't know how it happened. I was just getting stressed with the hinges and I don't know, I wasn't thinking straight. Anyway, also what's annoying is I had actually installed the hinges fine in the first place. Once I loosened the screws a slight bit, suddenly it was sitting flush. So I don't know why that happens, but I'm assuming maybe because I've got two hinges, maybe they weren't exactly straight. Then loosening them allowed them to kind of like move into place. I don't know, but the point is they're fine. They're gonna be fine. Let's fix this. So I'm gonna tape up this area that I wood filled and I'm gonna disguise it with paint. While the paint's drying, let's talk about the figure 8 fasteners we're going to use for the tabletop. So just in case you don't know, wood moves, so it absorbs moisture, it releases moisture, and when it does that, it grows and shrinks. It's very small, but when you try and restrict that movement, it can cause issues because it wants to move, it can't move, it causes loads of stress on the wood, and the wood can end up having cracks in it. The way it works is we're going to use a Forstner bit to drill a hole into the top of the apron. We're also just going to chisel out, I think these are called the ears, so that the figure 8 can sit flush in the apron. The other side is then going to be attached to the underside of the table. And because of the shape of the fastener, it means it can move left to right with the wood as it grows and shrinks. So it allows for movement, it doesn't inhibit it, so there shouldn't be any stress on the wood. I'm actually really surprised how easy those figure 8s are, considering I've never used them before and I'm really good at making mistakes. That went so smoothly. So now all we need to do is the hinges. It really is the last few steps now and I'm so excited to get these done. Ready? Ta-da! They are done. I am so happy. Let me show you some of the features because I'm really excited. So obviously we added these second tabletops on hinges so you can lift them up and get underneath. And then I thought, you don't usually get access to the underside of the tabletop, so why not use that for extra storage? So, ta-da! So we've got that little netting, kind of like you get on the back of your car seat to like hold things. And this little pen holder, which is just so cute. Talking about the pen holder, I want to show you the other thing because you know I said I wanted something for like my charger cables, and usually I do those magnetic cable holders. If you haven't seen that, check out my Instagram. I was going to do something like that, but then when I got these pen holders, I was like, oh, they would make perfect cable holders. So I've added those on the back of the table so that chargers can like just slot in there. And then also we've got like the iPad shelf on the back as well so that iPad can rest in place. So yeah, those are my tables. I can't believe I made them. And as always, there was lots of errors and mistakes along the way, but like, I made these! And here they are in their new home, and I'm just so happy. Thank you for coming on the journey with me. Thank you for watching my very first YouTube video. Okay, I love you, bye!